Welcome to episode 5 of Radio Arizona RV. Today I will be talking about slide topper fabrics, how to maintain them, some of the built-in problems with the different brands, and just the overall functionality of them and what their purpose is, and to overcome some obstacles and problems that you might be having. First off, there's two different brands for the most part. There's Carefree of Colorado and there's A&E, which is made by Dometic. Of the two, I prefer the A&E made by Dometic. It has a roller spring keeping tension on the roller tube from both ends, so the fabric has tension on both sides, the front and rear of the slide out. So it reduces wind problems, puddling problems for rain. It doesn't necessarily eliminate it, but it helps to reduce it. Whereas the Carefree of Colorado has one torsion assembly, one spring in either the front or the rear, depending on which side of the RV the slide out is on. So whether it's 6 foot or 14 foot or 20 foot, it just has one torsion assembly. So the Carefree of Colorado's generally don't roll up as tight, so the wind causes more problems. You get more blowing in the wind, more lufting, more the fabric's moving around, and when it rains, it typically puddles much easier than it does on an A&E. Both of them just have their inherent problems because of what they are. These aren't high-tech pieces of equipment. These are slide-out awnings. They're really meant to just keep debris off the slide-out. They do help when it rains if you have bad seals, leaking problems, but they're not designed for that. They were just designed originally to keep debris off the slide-out, so when you bring it in, you're not bringing in trees and branches and leaves and squirrels and the great outdoors with you. You're just bringing in your slide-out. So they have a function, but it's not always the best. They come undone while you're driving down the road. The Carefrees have a tendency of blowing out much more frequently than the A&Es. The A&Es have a built-in anti-billows device. It keeps it from unrolling while you're driving down the road, where the Carefrees don't. But they're designed a little bit different. But either way, they have their problems, but they're worth having because they do keep the debris off your slide out, and they do help if you do have a water leak, although it's best to just fix those seals and get rid of the water leak. But there's different qualities. A&E and Carefree, when they come from the factory, the fabric on them is an 11-ounce material. Some of the Carefrees have an acrylic material, which the acrylic holds up better in some cases because it has an aluminum cover on it. But generally with Carefrees, their stitching comes undone prematurely. And it's usually not worth fixing it because of the labor and time it takes to take it off, take it to a sewing shop, have it put back on. If you're doing it yourself, that's one thing, but if you're paying somebody to do it, just replace the cover. It's going to save you time and headache and probably money. You might be saving money up front, but you're going to pay for it later. In 6 months when the fabric tears because it's not as tough as you thought it was, well, now you're replacing the fabric and repeating all those steps and spending more money. And the A&Es, for the most part, just come with vinyl. There's a few out there that are acrylic, but for the most part, it's just vinyl. And I feel vinyl is just the better way to go. Sometimes it doesn't look as nice, but it's on a slide out. Generally, you can't see it. Looking from the ground, you can see a little bit of it. On some of them, you can see the roller tube. On some of them, the roller tube's covered by an aluminum cover, so you can't see anything. So the vinyl, to me, is a better pick. In our slide-out fabrics that we manufacture, all of them have welded beads. So we're not doing any sewing. Everything is welded. So the big bead, the little bead, the beads that slide into the awning rail, they're welded in. So not only do you have to not worry about any thread to come undone or fall apart prematurely, they're easier to install if you're doing it yourself because they just slide right in. That's how they're done at the factory, like at A&E and Carefree. Most other companies, their aftermarket fabrics aren't that way. They're sewn together. Sewing doesn't work. We've done it for a while. We haven't had any problems. We use high-quality thread, though, and we have a high-quality sewing department. But you want to stick with what's good. And we really do sell quality slide-out fabrics. We have a 13-ounce and we have an 18-ounce. Little difference in price, but you have a 3-year warranty and a 5-year warranty. And most persons go with the 18-ounce unless they want a different color, such as beige or gray. We don't have the beige or gray available in the 18-ounce, only the 13-ounce. But the 13-ounce is a great material. It's still heavier than the factory material from Carefree or A&E. So, if you get new fabrics, you want to maintain them. It's not really that hard to do. There isn't that much. The most important thing you probably do would be to just use a product called 303 on them. It's like an Armor All type product, except it's not Armor All. It's made, well, it's a better product than Armor All. It's easy to use, it lasts longer, and it actually doesn't harm things, where some of these spray-on protectants actually do cause damage. Now, you can use that, and you'll extend the life by how much? We don't know. You know, there's been no tests or anything, but it will keep them looking nicer longer, and they will last longer. But if it's going to last you 7 or 8 years anyways, you might say, who cares? You know, it's up to you. But, you know, when you're cleaning your RV, when you're washing it, having it waxed, that'd be the time to do it. You know, just make it part of the process. You know, it's not going to take that much time. The 303 product's relatively expensive. You can get a 13-ounce bottle for like $13. Excuse me, a 16-ounce bottle for like $13. So that's might be worth it to you. And, you know, another thing to help is when it rains, you get that puddling up there, and that's going to happen no matter what. Even with a brand new fabric, that can happen. And once that puddling starts, and if you don't get the water off there, it's just going to stretch out that material. What some persons do is they get foam and they put it up under the slide, between the top of the slide out and the bottom of the fabric, and it props it up. It gives it just enough pitch to that water to run off. And it tightens it up a little bit too. If there's some wind out, it'll keep that fabric a little bit tighter. You don't need much. You just don't want it to sag. Or persons have made little triangular A-frame things that run the length of the slide out, and they put it on the roof, between the roof and the bottom of the fabric, and that pushes it up and evenly all the way through. And that helps with the wind and also with water runoff. It keeps the water off the slide out fabric so it doesn't stretch it out and ruin it. You know, once it stretches, it's stretched. You can't really undo that. You know, some of it will come out with the sun. You roll it in a few times. It's going to help it, but that stretch will be there. And the more often it rains, the worse that stretch will become. So there's not a lot of complicated maintenance with these. It's not really a complicated product, period. It's a pretty simple product to solve a problem of keeping debris off the slide out. So we do a lot of these. We do thousands of feet of slide out fabric a year. Thousands upon thousands. So if you have any questions and you need any help, whether it's just helping you walk through it or you need us to come out and do it, I mean, you know, obviously you'd have to be local here in our area, in the Yuma area, but we're here to help. You can buy the fabrics from us and we can tell you how to install them. We can give you the tips, and our fabrics are the best. Remember, the welded beads, we use 13-ounce and 18-ounce, and we have several different colors. So this is going to conclude our episode of Slide Out Awning Fabrics today, episode number 5 at Radio Arizona RV. So check us out on the web at www.radioarizonarv.com.